on YouTube. What is that? It's like two doors in one, isn't it? So
No, it's like one door and two.
one door and two. Let's just get a door and saw it in half.
It's like $1,500.
What?
For a nice one.
Holy shit.
I know. I'm gonna think about that. Maybe not. Maybe more like 1,000.
I would not have guessed that
Let's see.
at all.
I'll look into it.
What's up, Facebook? Let me share this. All right, so the first 30 seconds are going to be me doing Super Mario noises with my mouth. New episode. Posted. All right, what is up? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the What Had Happened Was podcast. My name is Mike Dundarski, and it is Monday, August 6th, 2018. Unless you're watching live on the sneak preview on Facebook, then it's Sunday night. I promise I'm not a crazy person. It is Sunday when I record this, but Monday when most people listen to it. So I don't want you to think I'm a fucking maniac and I don't know my days. I did graduate kindergarten, contrary to what my daughter believes. Just kicking it off here, chatting with the wife about Dutch doors, which are apparently more expensive than we anticipated. We accepted a counter offer on a house in Milford. So as long as the inspection and everything goes as planned, looks like we'll be moving to Milford. Settlement date, I believe, is end of September. We've got some work we got to do on the house, and then we'll be in November. So that's the exciting news to kick off the podcast. We went to the Watermelon Fest at Evans Farm today, and it was a scorcher. Ridiculous levels of hot. I don't even know that hot. I don't know how red I look in this, but it was one of those days where you just could not escape the heat. It was oppressive. It was Kim Jong-un levels of oppressive, although he's a great guy, according to our president, and he is sending dead people that are, I guess, been dead for about 50 years now, the remains back to the States. So that's a good thing. And we'll let them continue to build nuclear weapons and be oppressive as the heat. No, it was a good time. It was small, definitely, but a lot of swassing, a lot of sweaty asses, a lot of annoyed parents. You could tell they didn't want to, I guess you could say, move. Everybody just wanted to stand still, not be bothered, and hope for a little bit of breeze just to cut through, but not too much of a breeze that you had to smell the chubsters that were there, which there were quite a few. We were down in Bridgeville, and not that Western Sussex is chubby, but you may see a few folks who, I don't know. I should stop shitting on Western Sussex. It's not that bad. They all made their sister, cousins, and brother, uncles. But other than that, it's a great place to live. No, we were in Bridgeville. I'm sure Danny would take offense to that since he's now a Bridgeville boy. The kids got on the little bouncy houses or whatever. It's a pretty nice time. I mean, it was a good way to kill a Sunday. You didn't have to sit in the house. And it was stupid hot. Don't want to drop the R word, but about 10 years ago, I would have said it was R word hot. And it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's weird as a parent, like you don't mind standing in 95-degree heat while your kids bounce on a bouncy house because they're having fun, they're occupied. And I might complain about it to my wife. She just shot me a look like, oh, you don't mind? Then why were you complaining the whole time?
I was trying to think what the R word was.
Oh. It's racist hot. Yes, that is the R word. The R word is racist hot. Oh, speaking of racist, LeBron James is opening a school. And how long did it take our president to shit on that? A day. Not at all because he's racist. Just because LeBron happened to say that he wouldn't sit across from Donald Trump. And of course, homeboy's ego was hurt. I don't know why I've always been anti-Trump, but on the podcast lately, I've been extra anti-Trump these past few episodes. I feel like he's been ramping it up, like his lying, his hatred, his racism, his blatant disregard for social norms, just all of it. You wrap it all up in a big sushi ball, and you have our shit president. It's like a big shit sushi roll, like, and we just get more and more shoved in our face to the point where you don't even remember some of the dumb shit he's did. One of the guys in the Madden League was making fun of his all caps lock tweet to Iran today, and I genuinely was like, oh my God, I forgot that he fucking threatened a country in caps lock and threatened to basically nuke them. I'm just going to threaten to nuke you on Twitter in all caps because I'm fucking insane and I'm 75 and I'm everybody's worst nightmare. Like the guy that no one wants to talk to at Thanksgiving, aside from me, because anytime I'm at a family gathering, I see people like scurrying away. Oh, there's that fucking guy. I don't want to talk to him, Mr. Know-It-All. Yeah, that's Donald Trump, and he became president because we had a black president. We couldn't have that, and a lot of people made sure that we tried to wipe that memory away from America. I think that's the one thing. We're not making America great again. We're making America forget Barack. That should be his 2020 his slogan, MAFB, Make America Forget Barack. And I'm sure people would vote for that platform. They would have no problem doing it whatsoever. Anyway, I found it creepy before LeBron opened the school. Like I guess it was probably a week before LeBron opened the school. One of the headlines was, "Oh, LeBron's kid is 13 and he dunks," and that was an actual headline on Yahoo, I believe. And it was creepy to me. Like, why do we care that a 13-year-old got his first dunk in a competitive game? First of all, that it became a headline on Yahoo. Like, I get that LeBron's super famous, super rich, super influential in the society, but we shouldn't be like infatuated with his 13-year-old son. Like, let's let the kid be a kid. Like, who gives a shit if he never dunks? I get his dad is LeBron, but I don't remember when I was growing up like learning about whether Michael Jordan's kids could dunk or not. It just wasn't something that was in this 24/7 news cycle. And I guess it's par for the course, and it's a sign of the times that we know more about everybody's personal lives or private lives. And that's not a terrible thing. But at the same time, I do think we forget that these kids are kids, and we have to remember that. It's a 13-year-old kid, and we care that he dunked. Like, what the shit does that say about our society? Like, there's some fat dude in like Idaho. I can't wait to write a new blog about LeBron's son dunking a basketball. Maybe I'll become famous. Or you could be a bald 34-year-old in Delaware and talk about it on a podcast and hope people listen to it. So there's a huge difference between me and that fat guy that is super worried about LeBron's kid. But no, the big story with LeBron this past week was that he opened a school. It looks like all the kids, it's called the Promise Academy. All the kids that start and finish will have their college paid for as well. That's part of his promise to them, as long as they make the promise to him that they're going to come to school and complete K through 12, which I think is phenomenal. I always worry about the charter and the private schools because the teachers sometimes don't have to pass all the certifications, and they don't have to, get all the proper testing done. And that if you're in a public school, you have to get done. That doesn't mean they're bad teachers, but a lot of times they hire people like, and it sounds good. Like, okay, this guy used to be an engineer, so he's going to teach engineering. And it sounds great in theory until you realize, oh shit, this guy's a great engineer, but he's a shit teacher. And he hates the kids. The kids hate him. He can't do anything. So sometimes you have to worry about those charter and public schools. But when you've got a guy who's willing to give back to the community he came from in his hometown, he's building a school, he's going to send kids to college that likely wouldn't be able to go to college. Although, who knows, in 20 years, we may have free college. I know that some people are trying to float the idea for free 2-year colleges for everybody, which is a double-edged sword because it kind of devalues your degree, right? Because everybody can go and graduate high school. So no one gives a shit that you're a high school graduate anymore. It's like, okay, congratulations. You can count to 10 and show up to class on time. Although it's a big learning tool for life. I know people like get all shitty, like, oh, we need more trade schools. We need to teach kids how to use a drill bit. And they're right. We should be teaching kids trades because not every kid in America is going to want to go to college. And we're going to need plumbers, mechanics, electricians, masons, all those things. And a lot of those people that work those jobs make more money than me. So they're important. But you know what else is important? Learning that you have to show up somewhere on time and that you have to work towards a goal. And if your goal is graduation or your goal is finishing graduating 12th grade or sleeping with the cheerleaders or whatever your goal is in school. You have to set them and then achieve them. So I think it helps. Oh, there went. See, I'm glad I have these headphones in because now I can catch when my microphone goes Jiza. And that's quick. And then I can just fix it. So I don't have to worry about the microphone going to crap for too long. I don't know why it does that. It's really annoying, but I like that I have the earphone and I can catch it right away. It's a nice little quick detection tool. And I should have been doing it the whole time, but after having a whole podcast ruined and having to re-record and really losing my steam and my momentum, it was like, all right, I just got to do this. And that's just the end of it. There's no getting around it. You have to keep the headphones in. I know it's hard to hear the echo, but you kind of have to do it. I don't know. So, let's see, some other popular news. That was a good segue, Mike. That was really fucking killed it. Nailed it. Oh no! So Cardi B, apparently she has a real big problem with people, I guess, doubting her on Twitter. I don't know. I think it's stupid and I think it's super insecure, but whatever. More power to her. So she and Offset from Migos or Magos or Migos. I don't know how you say it. I'm going with Migos or Migos. I'm going to settle on Migos. Her and Offset bought matching Lambos after she had the kid, and someone had said that she leased it. And I guess to prove that it wasn't leased, she showed like a little screen cap from her Wells Fargo account where it showed the $500,000 that she bought the account with. And I was like, well, that's rather insecure that she felt the need to show somebody that, yes, I bought and paid for this Lamborghini. Like, why the heck does it matter that you bought and paid for it? Why can't you just tell people, like, I bought it? If you don't believe me, go fuck yourself. Like, I genuinely don't care what you think. But no, so she posted it, and the most I don't know why I randomly laughed in the last sentence, but the most surprising and funny thing to me was on there was a $65 Waffle House charge. Who the fuck spends $65 at I don't think you spend $65 if you took a family of 8. You could probably take 8 people and not spend $65 at Waffle House. Do they have diamond encrusted French toast that they break out for the wrappers? Like, how is it even possible to spend the amount of, I don't know, a tank of gas for an SUV at Waffle House? I took the kids to Waffle House for them to eat breakfast, me to eat breakfast, and tip. It was like $13 for 3 of us. So I can't imagine how you're spending $65 at a Waffle House. Like, what is in the hash browns that you're spending $65? What's up, Mike? Hey, Mike, what's up, Mike? Mike time. It's Mike time. We're on the mics. It's Mike time. That was fucking nerdy. Anyway, so yeah, but what are you spending $65 at a Waffle House? I really want to know, like, what kind of art did they have? Maybe they have mimosas if you're a rapper. Like, normal Americans can't go in there and get a mimosa, but maybe if you're Cardi B, you can get a mimosa, or maybe you can get a Bloody Mary. I don't know. Every time I go to Waffle House, it's like black water. It doesn't taste like coffee, but it's like my favorite coffee for some reason. Like, shitty coffee is my favorite coffee. And I say shitty because you're not sure if someone actually just pooped through a strainer, that's what they gave you, or if it's actually brewed coffee, because it's just dark water and you're not really certain because it doesn't really smell like coffee, it doesn't really taste like coffee, but it also doesn't typically taste like shit. So you're usually pretty safe bet that it is some sort of caffeinated drink. And you feel good when you leave because you're like, wow, I can actually cook, because people pay money for these Waffle House meals. Hey, babe, you going to No. I love you. Bye. Yeah, I don't know. There was one of the Waffle House kids who had a sunny side up egg at Waffle House and said, "Daddy, you can make this." So it's like a really nice thing. You spend $13. You're not sure what you're putting in your body, but you know that it can actually you can make it at home. Except for the hash browns. I always fuck up hash browns. I don't know if I thaw them too long or what, but I can't anytime I go to flip. So I get the one side nice and toasty, and then when I go to flip, I got fucking nothing. It just crumbles up, and it looks like I don't know, like Hulk smash, like got mad at some tater tots. That's basically what it looks like when I try to make hash browns. It's some huge guy who has let's say 42 IQ got mad at tater tots and just started smashing them. That's my hash browns. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or how I can maybe get my flip game going better, but me and hash browns do not get along. And I would love to know how Cardi B spent $65 at the Waffle House. I think that's my new goal, to try to go to Waffle House and see how I can spend $65. I get like a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, and 4. I could probably order, I'm guessing, 10 meals, and then I might be able to spend $65. I'm not surprised she spent $500K on a Lambo. That doesn't surprise me at all. But I want to know how she spent $65 at a Waffle House. These are the answers I need to know. Like, how did you do that? What kind of shit are you getting? Because you're a famous rapper that I'm not getting at Waffle House, because you didn't spend 65 on a 3 eggs and toast. Just didn't happen. It's like $4. How many people did you take into Waffle? Did you take the whole posse into Waffle House? I got to know these things. How she spent $65 at a Waffle House, because I can't. I've been going on it now for about 2 minutes. It blows my mind that she was able to spend $65 at a Waffle House. We got to have an intervention with Cardi B. You can buy as many boats and cars and expensive, jetliners, buy whatever, but you can't be spending $65 at a Waffle House. Come on, Cardi. You're better than that. Where you at with that? I mean, I know I've praised you before for your I guess you could say your love of the female anatomy and girl power, but you can't go dropping $65 at a Waffle House. And was Offset around? Why wasn't Offset paying for this? Why was Cardi B on the hook for her Waffle House? I guess it's 2018 and you got to let the girl pay every once in a while, because it's hashtag me too, unless it's for dinner. Then hashtag not me, you're paying, bitch. Is that how it works now? Is that what hashtag me too means? Like, me too, I'll also pay for dinner? Nope. Okay. That was a solid hard pass from the wife. Do not joke about sexual harassment or sexual assault or rape. Those 3 are off limits unless you're doing it to a clown. Isn't that the old joke? You can't spell manslaughter without laughter. Okay. So talking about rich people, obviously Cardi B is pretty well off. Rich people like to invest money, and Apple was the first company to hit $1 trillion. Kudos to Apple. I saw a lot of funny memes going around that the only reason they're worth $1 trillion is because all of their chargers break. People have to buy new chargers. You nerf your phone so that they die. People have to buy a new phone every cycle. All those, people who hate Apple jokes. I don't mind Apple. I'm not a huge Apple fanboy. I typically like an Android phone. Although living with my parents has made me want an Apple, because they do the Wi-Fi messaging between Apple users, so you can use iMessage while you're on Wi-Fi. And I really need that, because my parents have dog shit cell service in their house. But anyway, so here's what I was getting at. So this is why there's different strata and classes of people. So I read an article that basically said, if you put $1,000 into Apple 10 years ago, what would it be worth today? So for most people to have an extra $1,000 to put into the stock market is like a big deal. If you have, oh my God, I have an extra $1,000, I'm going to put it in the stock market. And this is where the everyday blue collar, middle class, middle of the road American will never be able to get ahead in the game, because if you bought that stock 10 years ago, it would now be worth $9,200, which is great. It's a 900% return on your investment. But at the same time, it's only gone up $8,000 in 10 years. There's a lot of other shit you probably could have done to make $8,000 out of that $1,000. Sell lemonade on the side of the road, as long as you're a white guy, not a small black kid that somebody's going to call the cops on. I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could have done, but it was just mind-boggling to me that if you were to say to someone, oh, if you took $1,000 and invested in Apple a decade ago, how much do you think it'd be worth? They'd probably say like 20,000, 25,000. So when they hear 9,000, like, yeah, that's great. It's 9 times what you invested, which is phenomenal returns. But at the same time, it's not great. It's like, I don't have time to wait 10 years for my $1,000 to turn into 9,000. Like, I needed that $1,000 now to get gas, to put a roof over my head, to put food on the table. And that's where this class, like it just keeps growing, and we're not doing anything about it. It's almost as bad as it was in the Great Depression era. Like if you look at some of these income inequality charts, like it was obviously awful in the 30s when the Great Depression happened. Like the rich people were super duper rich and the poor people were super duper poor. Like the rich people would have parties where they like dressed up like poor people, which I guess we have like those thrift store parties or like white trash parties or white trash prom parties. We have all that shit, so we're basically doing that now. But what I guess the rich are better at now is programming the middle class to hate the poor. So I don't have time to let $1,000 turn into $9,000 because I have 2 kids, I have a wife, and maybe you're laughing and saying, haha, you should save better and not be a piece of shit. And you're fully entitled to that opinion. But it's hard to listen to someone say, oh, if you just wait 10 years, you'll have $8,000 more than what you invested. Whereas if you have enough money and you can put $1 million in Apple, then that would have turned into 9 million. Now that sounds more like it, but you have to have money to make money. So if you're going to put 1,000 in and it only turned to 9,000 10 years later, it just doesn't seem worth it, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a 900% return. How many times can I say 900%? I seem to be infatuated with that percentage. But yeah, if you told me, all right, if you give me $1 and I'll give you 10 in, I don't know, a year, I'd say, no, I'll just take my $1 now. I don't want to wait a year for another $9. And in theory, I should wait another year for that $10, but there's just not enough of there's not enough juice. Is the juice worth the squeeze? To quote one of my favorite teenage rom-coms. What was that? It was Alicia Cuthbert and that kid who then played the guy who died in the van. Yeah, The Girl Next Door. That's exactly what it was. And the guy who looks kind of like Josh Duhamel was in it as well. Timothy Oliphant, I think his name. He's a good actor. So it's not Josh Duhamel. It's
Come on.
what are you turning me into?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. You're just gonna turn me into daddy. All right. Good night. Bippity boppity boo. Oh, thank you. Bippity boppity boo. All right. So yeah. But no, yeah, okay. Juice is worth the squeeze. Where the hell was I? Oh, Girl Next Door. That was a really good movie. Alicia Cuthbert. She was super hot. She married a hockey player. A lot of hot chicks marry hockey players. I don't know why. Hockey players must be slanging them things. You know, they got them sticks, and I ain't talking about what they use on the ice. That was gross, but also funny. Yeah, so I don't know. Like it's easy to say like, oh, just invest your money and it'll be worth so much more. But the reality is it's going to be worth more, but it's not going to be life-changing unless you have life-changing money already. And in that case, you don't need life-changing money. Like, great, I invested 1,000 and now it's worth 9,000. Neat. Now instead of a used car, I can get a new car, but it's really not life-changing at all. So I just think investments are a tool for the rich to stay rich, and I get it. And when we look at the economy, a lot of like us people who don't know any better, we look at the stock market. Oh, the stock market's up, so the economy's doing well, and we don't look at the fact that our wages haven't gone up. I just got a 2% raise, which is below inflation, and I'm tickled to death, which I shouldn't be. I should be like, what the fuck? Why can't we keep up with inflation? But no, instead I'm like a good old fashioned dumbass American. I'm like, I get more money on this paycheck. Yippee. Don't question anything. Don't worry about it. In fact, it's worth less than it was 3 years ago because it's not keeping up with inflation. But just shut up and take this little bit of extra money that keeps you working poor. And like it. Although I can't complain. I guess if I really wanted to make a ton of money, I should have went in the private sector instead of working at a public school. Well, I don't work at a public school, but working for the public school system, the state of Delaware, and the education system. So if I didn't spend the last 10 years, well, not the last 10 years, the last 8 years, I've been really good with wife and kids. I do get it in every now and again. But the 10 years previous to that, I spent a good time liver punching myself, and they seem to be all the rage. I know Jose Aldo just liver punched, I think Jeremy Stevens, knocked him out with a liver punch. And then there was a baseball player, Carlos Gomez, turned into a fastball, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, took that joker to the liver, took 2 steps and fell smooth over. Like he couldn't even move. He looked like he was paralyzed at that point. And man, it did not look like he was going to be pissing blood for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I've never done that. So I'm pretty happy with my liver function right now. We did team trivia the other day at Blue Water Grill, and we actually got fourth because the last question was we had to put some books from the Bible in order. It was, what were they? It was Leviticus, Ruth, Psalms, then Daniel. You had to put them in order, and that was the correct order. I think we went Leviticus, Psalms, Ruth, Daniel, or something like that. Either way, we got it out of order. The only reason I thought of this is because one of the question was, what's the study in nephrology? Luckily, my wife was there. She's a nurse. She knew it was a study of kidney function. And my kidneys are working all right. I don't have any UTIs or any kidney infections or anything like that, which I think kidney infections are like UTIs that you let go because it goes UTI, bladder, kidney. So if you get a kidney infection, you let that shit go for a little bit. Like you were burning, you were itching, and you're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I just had some asparagus. And then next thing you know, you got a goddamn kidney infection and you can't move. That would be awful. I wouldn't wish a kidney infection on anyone. But these guys getting punched in the liver, took a 96 mile an hour to the liver, 96 mile an hour fastball to the liver. I've been there. Like I've taken shots of Patron and Jaeger bombs and Red Bull and vodkas, you name it. I've put it in on my liver. Like my liver has taken more beatings than any UFC fighter, although they look like they also not only get punched in the liver, but they also beat the shit out of their livers too. Like it wouldn't surprise me, especially when you got guys like John Bones Jones testing positive for cocaine on fight night. I think that those guys in that lifestyle tend to get it in, if you will. Not to stereotype anyone. I don't want to, stereotype people, but the folks that are, willingly getting punched in the face and liver for a living may have a bit of a screw loose or may have had some substance abuse issues in their past, except GSP, of course. He's the only one. Heaven forbid we talk about whether or not he was a substance abuse user. So I don't want to, say anything negative about GSP and have him on me. But I just want to say that UFC guys, you're not that tough. I beat the shit out of my liver for like 10 years. You can't even take one punch to the liver. Come on. I've done worse. I don't even know how countless, infinite numbers of Bud Lights, Jaeger bombs. We already redheaded sluts, all different variants of Jägermeister, different variants. I was even around for Patron Cafe. You know how terrible that could not have been good for your body. I don't even know if that's still available, but basically what it was Patron, but coffee flavored. It was terrible. And for some reason, I loved it. Any flavor of vodka, bubblegum, coffee, espresso. We even had one, it was like whipped cream. So we would put that in the pumpkin beer, which if I see another girl, especially guys, if you do it, whatever. That's, I don't know. I'm not trying to question your manhood or anything, but if I see another girl post something about everybody's happy about summer and this is me and it's a bunch of fucking people dancing with pumpkins, I'm going to throat chop you because I get it. You like fall, but let us have our summer. Jesus Christ. When it's fall, you don't see me posting shit like, oh, I'm glad you carving pumpkins. I wish I had my toes in the sand. Although I guess people do that. I don't know. Do. It's always funny when you say do. People do that. People poop that. Get your poop in a group. That's a good way to say get your shit together. Now I've just gone way off. I don't know why, but girls with these goddamn pumpkin posts, it really flusters me. It frustrates me. I don't get it. Cool. You don't like summer. You like being different. Go be different somewhere else. Remember when you were 16 and you had like black hair and some like Misfits t-shirt on and Jinkos? Do that. I don't want to hear anymore about your pumpkin infatuation or that you like it when it rains. I don't care. Go be quiet like you used to be and leave us all alone and let us enjoy the goddamn summer. I'm not even enjoying it. I'm sitting in a watermelon festival. It's 95 degrees. I got sweat dripping from God knows where. And I'm watching my kids bounce on a bouncy house. Sloan, we got home and she was like, I think it was too hot. I have a little rash on my butt from where the slide was so hot. I'm like, oh, great. So now we got heat rash asses. I'm sweaty. I need to take a shower. I need to shut up. I'm complaining here about being able to enjoy a day with my kids. How dare I talk about that? We got more important stuff to talk about, like this Sarah Jung chick. I believe I believe. I sound like Larry the Cable. Well, that was Larry the Cable Guy, right? I believe. That's funny. I don't care who you are. That guy made a killing off Tomater, and now he's in a couple like Viagra commercials or something. I don't know but that guy made some good ass money. I kind of wish I had Larry the Cable Guy money. I'm not even going to shit on his comedy. Was not my bag. Obviously, I did have a Jeff Foxworthy CD. I liked him. I liked Ron White. Was not a fan of Bill Engvall, he's the Here's Your Sign guy, or Larry the Cable Guy. He was, now that's funny, I don't care who you are. And then I believe that was when everybody needed some sort of tagline or some shit in comedy. So they all had like this little segment. Jeff Foxworthy started it obviously with the whole "You might be a redneck if," and then it ballooned from there. The Blue Collar Comedy Tour. And I like Bill Engvall, but not like, I wouldn't like sit down and watch his special, but I did see the one that him, Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, and Ron White did. Ron White, obviously, with the glass of whiskey and calling himself Tater Salad. That shit was classic and hilarious. He was kind of like the Bernie Mac of that tour. He wasn't the most popular, but he was the one everybody fucking loved. Like Bernie Mac and the original Kings of Comedy, that shit was worth getting stared at like I was a goddamn psych. Like it was cultural appropriation for me to walk into that theater. I'll never forget. I walked in. It was the old Rehoboth Mall. I don't even know if there's still a movie theater there, but it was the old Rehoboth Mall. Original Kings of Comedy was playing in there. It was like $6 to go see a movie. I walked in. I was literally the only white person there, and there might have been 80 people there tops. Actually, I doubt there was even 80. It might have been 50. Either way, I was the only white dude who walked in, and I walked in, and you could have heard a goddamn pin drop when I walked in. I really feel like I would have gotten yelled at for cultural appropriation in 2018. Like they would have chased me out of the goddamn theater. It's not like I had like a dashiki on or anything, or I was wearing cornrows. I just walked in. But I really, really think in 2018, if I went to see the original Kings of Comedy, it would have been a big deal. And I just loved it. You get some milk and cookies, him downstairs. Like, what you want me to tell you? You're doing a good job? Quit staring at. Like, he was just off the charts hilarious. And I don't need to try to get some laughs by re-quoting him here, but I probably should, because anything Bernie Mac has said is much funnier than anything I can say. But it is funny how times have changed. Like I really feel like I would have gotten yelled at in 2018 for going into that theater. Someone would have been recording it on Facebook and been like, look, we got this white guy out of here for cultural appropriation. And I'm not trying to say that it's hard to be a white guy, because it's not. I walk out of the door, banks give me loans, cops send me on my way, CEO level positions just open up. They drop money bags in my hands. I get to smack the hell out of my wife and get away with it. I don't know what else, but all those things happen in the span of like 8 minutes every time I open the door, because I'm a white man. My life is just rainbows and butterflies. You guys should try it. You should try to be white for a day. It's really, really, it's the best. It's the besties. Then I get to work and I get shit on. Every day I get shit on. Look at me. I deserve to get shit on. You see this bald face. You see these eyeglasses. I wear flip-flops some days. Trust me. I deserve to get shit on. And those kids have not come up with anything original. I think one of the more original ones was when a kid said, I forget what he said. What the hell did he say? He said, Mr. Mike, you look like the dude at the beach who thinks he doesn't stink, but he does. And I don't know why that caught me in such a funny spot, but it really did. I thought it was a good one, because usually I get, you look like a thumb, you look like Mr. Clean, you look like a child molester, whatever they want to say that day. But usually they're not very original. But the kid who dropped, you look like the guy at the beach who doesn't think he stinks, but he does, really got me in a good spot. And I gave him a nice little high five for that one. Thought that was a good one. So he got the old gold star for the day. Got to sit in the teacher's chair. He was a line leader. Got 3 extra snacks with lunch. No, that doesn't happen where I am. But speaking of cultural appropriation and racial things, Sarah Jung She is I guess she was a newly hired editor at the New York Times. And apparently they pulled up some old tweets of hers, which is like the new thing to do. You got to pull up some old tweets that are real shitty. And she basically said some really shitty stuff about white people. Like white people belong in caves. They should live underground. The best part of her day is making fun of old white men or making old white men cry. I forget exactly what it was. But long story short, she made it very obvious that she doesn't like white people in a lot of these tweets. Now, they could have been joking or taken out of context. I get that, because now her defense is that they were all taken out of context by the right-wing media. They're trying to shame her and slander her and make her seem like a bad person. I don't know the girl, but I just know from reading the tweets that if you inserted Chinese or black or Mexican or Hispanic, whatever you put in there instead of white, if you put that, there would be no explaining. It would just be, you gone, you fired, you're done. And again, I'm not trying to make it like, woe is us, white people have it so hard at all. I'm not trying to make it like that, but it is kind of weird to see this double standard that exists in the world. Like, she can just write it off and say, oh, they were jokes, it was satire. Here's a couple of the a couple, I guess you could say, instances of the tweets that I get that I was satirizing, and they were pretty bad. It was basically like, you're a lesbian, you're a gook, like just saying nasty foul shit to this girl. But here's the thing, that doesn't, it's like one of those things, like two wrongs don't make a right. Like, I get if you were trying to satirize it. Like, I say some dumb shit on Facebook, like in 100% sarcastic, joking manner. So I get it 100% when people are like just trying to be silly or trying to prove a point or like taking the piss out of something. I get that 100%. But when you get called out on it and your only response is, oh, well, you should see the stuff that happens to me, it doesn't fly. Because guess who else I don't let it fly for? Our president, because he does that shit all the time. That whole whataboutism. Well, what about Hillary? What about Obama? What about? Yeah, what we're doing is bad, but what about? And it just doesn't fucking fly with me. And I don't want to end on some like racial thing, but that's kind of where I am. And I don't know. It's frustrating to see, because Roseanne, should she have probably been fired for what she said? Yes. ABC is a private company. That's their business. They can hire and fire whoever the hell they want. But they knew when they hired her, she had said some crazy, crazy stuff. Like, it wasn't a surprise that Roseanne was an old racist that was mentally unhinged. That wasn't a surprise to ABC. So now that she tweets it, now it's a big deal, and now they want to fire her. And I'm fine with that. That's ABC's decision. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say decision. But now the New York Times, they're also a private company, and if they don't want to fire the Sarah Jung chick, they don't have to. But they have to understand that it does look bad, and it's easy for the right-wing media to grab hold of and say, look, there's a double-edged sword for white people. White people can't say anything, but if you're of a minority, you can say whatever the hell you want and get away with it. And they can easily make that narrative and spin it, because that's the way it looks with this tweet. She tweeted directly, basically, that she doesn't like white people, that they should live in caves, and then was able to come out and say, oh, it was just jokes. But it just happened to James Gunn, where he was kind of, I guess you couldn't even say he was making fun of homosexuals, but he was kind of talking really derogatorily. Is that even a word? Derogatorily? I just added a couple extra letters and syllables and called it a day. Derogatorily. Hey, Amy, how are you? You ready to go back to school? I bet you're not missing summer breaks. Must be fun to be off in the summer. Just don't post anything about pumpkin, please. That's all I'm going to say, is if you don't like summer, please, guys, just don't post anything about a pumpkin. And if you do, hit that little box that's like hide from Mike. Just hide it from Stan, hide it from me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know that you can't wait for pumpkins to happen. It's already August. By the end of August, pumpkin spice is going to be out and everything. We know that that's what happens. It's yeah, I figured that. It's creeping. Fall's almost already here. My daughter's starting first grade. I don't want it to be the start of another school year. It means I'm another year older. My daughter's another year older. Let's pump the brakes on this pumpkin shit. All right, guys, I'm out of here. My wife told me she cringes every time she hears me end the show. So I have to come up with a new end line for the show, because I can't do that one anymore. I don't want my wife to cringe. So I'll have to figure out something else. Maybe I can make it PG. Booby fornicate. That's what we'll do. Guys, thank you for tuning in, and go booby fornicate yourselves. Have a good one. Always first to the party, last to end. It's been real, YouTube.